with a signed declaration with the threat of criminal proceedings. What sanctions would you propose in terms of the criminal proceedings? How strong of a jail time?
Because we're close to treason here, literally. So I say jail time. Now, the size of the jail time would be judged by jurisprudence and by our system, but definitely jail time.
Ladies and gents, welcome back. Some strong words we're hearing here. Top national security experts testified yesterday to talk about the tougher response that we should be taking against, well, the interference that is coming from China, not just in our elections, but what's coming out is that it's turning out to be a lot deeper than we originally thought. Let's get into this. iPolitics reporting. Top national security experts call for a tougher response to Beijing's interference. A government with a values-based foreign policy should be protecting and defending Canadian democracy and freedoms and way of life. Two of Canada's top national security experts, Christian Leuprecht of the Royal Military College and former CSIS Asia-Pacific chief Michel Juneau-Katsuya, presented detailed proposals Thursday at a parliamentary committee hearings on Chinese election interference. The Chinese Communist Party's ultimate goal is to constrain Canada's capacity to make sovereign decisions, Leuprecht told the Committee on Procedure and House Affairs, adding that too many MPs and too many Canadians are taking democracy for granted. A government with values-based foreign policy should be protecting and defending Canadian democracy, freedoms, and way of life, he said. Canada's intelligence agencies and top-level committee of senior civil servants acknowledged there was Chinese government interference in the 2019 and 2021 federal elections. And we're going to get into the fact that there was it goes back much further, but we'll get into that soon enough here. Leuprecht calls for lowering the threshold following the lead of Canada's allies, establishing a law clear thresholds for foreign interference as well as punitive consequences. Because it's so vague, well, people are just able to skirt around these laws. He said that CSIS has lost its mandate to deal with foreign subversion when the Cold War ended, and that mandate should now be restored. Now, here's some of the words that were said. This is, again, Michel Juneau-Katsuya with his speech at the hearing.
Chinese operators. It is also caused by our own candidates, elected official, political staff that are either naive or calculate intentionally to gain power with the assistance of the Chinese government. The Chinese intelligence service are so good at it because they understand the electoral system, the weakness of the human being, and their work is on long-term gain. So today, I want to be very clear, and I want to be very clear. We can prove that every federal government, from Mr. Mulroney to Mr. Trudeau, have been compromised by agents of the Communist China. Every government were informed at one point or another. Every government choose to ignore CSIS warning either by negligence, self-interest, or partisanship. Every government were infiltrated by agents of influence acting on behalf of the Chinese government, and we knew who they were. Every government took decisions that are questionable about China and can only be explained by interference exercised from within or motivated by self-interest. Not only the sitting government have been compromised, but all federal political parties have been compromised at one point or another. The inaction of the federal government, all federal governments, were led to attacks on many municipal and provincial government. Ultimately, every government have been part of the problem, not the solution. And remember, not only China is practicing interference.
This is interesting news, especially to hear back, and we're to hear that we're going back decades now, and we're wondering why, and I try to keep things as bipartisan as possible on this channel, I'm not going to just go after the Trudeau government. I'll go after previous governments. I'll go after future governments. If there was interference, it would explain a lot of why Harper's government made such crappy deals with China at the time. Okay. And I'm going to be digging further into that. So by all means, pay attention, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're tuned in, because I'm going to be digging into the history of that now.
Considering these facts, I respectfully would like to propose some actions to be taken. 1. Establish a mandatory process for all future elected officials, political staff, and volunteers to swear and to sign a declaration that they are not under the influence or acting on behalf of a foreign government or entity. This form will clearly warn of possible criminal procedures in case of intentional deception.
If you're like me, you would have probably assumed that this is something that we already have in place. Some sort of declaration that you're representing the Canadian public, you're representing the government of Canada, and not a foreign agency, a foreign entity, a foreign government in your capacity as being sworn in. You think that this would be a normal thing, but apparently it is not.
2. Eliminate the possibility for foreigners to vote for the selection of candidates and nominees. This is an obvious nonsense. 3. Give an explicit and clear security briefing to all newly elected MP and have them sign that they attended and understood the briefing, with again warning of repercussion in case of deception. Prevention is our best defense.
Absolutely. Prevention is our best defense. Now, when asked about the particular donation that brought a lot of this to light, the one that went to the Trudeau Foundation, Christian Leuprecht was asked, would you consider this to be something that would be influence or something along those lines, or what say you?
Mr. Cooper, open source documentation raising concerns about this donation dates back to 2016. And so we have had ample time to have an honest discussion, which I think people are not prepared to have. It is also why people are resisting a foreign agent registry, because of the number of Canadian elites that would get ensnarled in such a registry.
Now, just to be clear here, with that registry that he's speaking of, there was a motion to create a foreign registry, and it did carry in the House. Now, if you go and look at who voted, well, every single Liberal MP voted against it. That says a lot right now about who is in government and who is, well, influenced by whom. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't conservative MPs that have been influenced. There was implications or from the CSIS leak to say that there are a few conservative MPs, and, well, Pierre Poilievre was calling for that information to be made public so that they can take actions on it. In an interview recently, I believe it was with True North, he was asked specifically about that, and he said, yeah, he would expel them from his cabinet and from the party if that were to come to light. But we've been just stonewalled on every front from the Liberal government when it comes to this stuff that, well, we should be considering as of utmost importance to our sovereignty as a nation. Now, we have this article from the Epoch Times. We're close to treason. Former CSIS officer decries lack of accountability on foreign interference. This article by Noe Chartier, go check it out. Link is in the description down below. Make sure you follow him on Twitter because he has a lot of good information out there. A former officer with Canada's spy agency says that individuals involved in the political process should have to declare they will not cooperate with a foreign power, adding that they should serve jail time if they're caught doing so. And this is finally some words that most Canadians have been saying, screaming at their screens all along. Yes, if you're in cahoots with a foreign entity against the will and against the better interest of Canadians, you should seek jail time for this. Yes, and it's not bordering on treason, it's treasonous. Because we're so close to treason here, literally, said Michel Juneau-Katsuya, former chief of the Asia-Pacific unit within the Canadian Security Intelligence Services, CSIS, as it's known by. Juneau-Katsuya, who left the agency in early 2000s, was testifying before the House of Commons Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs on May 11th as part of its study on foreign interference. The former officer, known for his explosive comment on the matter, said every government since Brian Mulroney has been compromised by agents of communist China. He also told the Ethics Committee in March that a new independent agency with arrest powers should be created to tackle foreign interference, with CSIS and the RCMP unable to stop the threat and the government being penetrated. Juneau-Katsuya made several comments to the PROC. His first pertained to making it mandatory for electoral candidates, political staff, and volunteers to sign a declaration that they are not under the influence or acting on behalf of a foreign government or entity. This form will clearly warn of possible criminal procedures in the case of intentional deception, he said, suggesting offenders should be sent to prison. No fine, no suspended sentences, or anything of that nature. He made other serious claims, such as that some staff at Global Affairs Canada are under the influence of Chinese governments. This is unreal. I mean, it's something that most people have suspected for some time. I mean, given the policies that have been going through, the decisions that have been made by the government of Canada. But here we have it. This is right out there and in the open from an expert in the field. My speculation as an investigator is that, unfortunately, at Foreign Affairs or Global Affairs today, we have some people working naively and non-intentionally, or maybe intentionally, on behalf of China, and a certain sort of shakeup must be done on that site as well, he said. So here we are in Canada now in a situation where the government seems to be penetrated or compromised by foreign entities, and we keep getting lies every day. There's Justin Trudeau again speaking in French. Of course, I don't speak French, and many of the viewers maybe don't speak French, but this is why. Following Noé Chartier is will help you a lot on this one. He'll on Twitter translate a lot of these briefings. Here's what Trudeau said: I wouldn't want to mislead you and suggest that in recent years I haven't been advised about concerns or issues involving MPs related to foreign interference, the PM said in French on May 7th. Was being asked whether he received new info on MPs since giving the directive to CSIS to pass up info on the threats to MPs of any degree. Now, we know that he's known about this information for some time. CSIS leaks to the press. It seems like, what good is intelligence service if the government itself is penetrated, is not acting on behalf of the citizenry or the people of Canada? In this sense, I say, yeah, give them legs, give them the power to investigate the sitting government, because this is obviously, they've been given these briefings and it seems like it's been going on for decades now and we're going nowhere. So anyway, leave this one off with you guys. What do you think of this whole situation? Do you think that they will actually go ahead with a, well, they're going ahead obviously with this registry for foreign agencies, but do you think we'll have the political will to go ahead and form a body to actually police the government from within? Leave that one with you guys, and we'll see you tonight in the live stream with special guest Uncle Hack from Danger Cats. I think you guys will enjoy that. We'll see you then. Keep on trucking.